So Batman tells Catwoman, "You've made a terrible mistake." To which Bane responds to Batman, "Not as big as yours, I fear." Which brings me to this. In this new age of the divine feminine, I think we need to take a look into one of Solomon's lesser keys. And let's look at a character named Prince Citri. Also would be pronounced Citri, but Prince Citri, one of the archdemons in the Goetia, over roughly 60 legions. Now, one of his two counterparts is Dantalion and Shax. Very dark and very dangerous entities. Very, very dark. But what makes Prince Citri so dark is because this is the entity that's particularly associated with the love spells. When you hear people talking about love spells, lighting a love candle, creating a love potion, a love fragrance, doing all of these kind of spells and magic workings to attract a lover. Well, the Most High placed this under Prince Citri's jurisdiction. And Citri is exceptionally dangerous, which is like the most High's way of saying love is not for sale. You can gain some kind of foothold in the sphere, in the realm of love through some manipulative means, but ultimately is not gonna benefit you best in the long run to take such a non-organic approach as to entertain Citri for the sake of attracting a lover. But believe it or not, this is widely practiced, but behind closed doors, where a lot of people do pray and give allegiance to Citri. And you even have stories that go back in history talking about how Citri and two other demons formed this real dark demonic trinity and was just wreaking havoc through Europe. Just, I guess everybody was maybe conjuring up some kind of love spell thing at the time. And it was said that these demons was just wreaking havoc. And what they were doing was they was pushing Faustian bargains. We told you about Faustian bargains and how that's under the creation and invention of Lucifuge, Rofokel, who's over Citario, who is over the Faustian bargain, which is the original home of Lilith. So these Faustian bargains, Citri and these other two demons are just pushing throughout possibly the Renaissance era, the Romantic era, the Victorian period, whatever era in history that was associated with love and many things European in terms of his art and procurement. But these demons were wreaking havoc on the dark side of love. Prince Citri and the others that accompany him, they formed a trinity, a triangle, a delta, a sphere of change, which is really a revolving cycle. Should you get caught up in the vortex of any spiritual delta, it'll seem like you running in place. It'll just be three main problems, just like the three angles. Three main problems just harassing you throughout your life. But in this instance, when we're looking at what could happen with population as a whole if we don't do this male-female thing correctly, we'll mess around and possibly be endangered or go extinct. And that's not going to be as much fun for the machines as they might even think. So let's just deal with love and leave the bribery out of it that Citri is really responsible for punishing the person for really jumping into, so to speak. Now, here's where Citri helps, because they also do have historical tales where, was it, I forget what group it was. They start with an A. I don't know if it was the Arabs, the Armenians, but it was a group that started with the A. And they were given power from Prince Citri without doing any rituals. What it was, though, they had to already have a preconceived belief in the darkness behind stars. So they were already schooled in some tier of what is called supreme darkness, the manipulation of energy using dark energy and dark matter as metaphysical and black magician based concepts for the purpose of enhancing your life or attracting what it is you want to attract. These are what are called lesser keys. Greater keys deal with things like spirituality, more of the thought realm. But when you're dealing with matter, that's the lesser key. And it doesn't mean like greater or lesser, one key is better than the other. Lesser keys dealing with the basement, dealing with the lower levels. So lesser meaning lower, but not lesser in degree or lesser in importance. So to have this dark magnetism about you, and we're not saying evil, but to understand, let's say, the hidden nature behind each form and how these things come to be. This would be said to be categorized as a dark science, a dark science. And in this dark science, you attract entities like Citri, but not as a pawn, not as a trick, not as a John, but as a respected practitioner who is on a conquest that can be temporarily aligned to Citri's aims. And true to Faustian nature, these entities can still push these Faustian bargains today in the name of love. What if there's somebody who it wasn't even meant for them to attract a mate on any level unless they got their stuff together on multiple levels? Now, what if they decided behind closed doors to take a shortcut and say, I'm not going to get my stuff together. I don't believe I have to. So I'm going to conjure up Citri. I'm going to conjure up Prince Citri and get my love spell on, and I'm going to attract this person. So it happens. They do whatever they do. They attract this person, but they don't understand that Citri is over Faustian contracts. So he's got a whole bunch of paperwork in his briefcase. This is a demon who shows up like with a leopard body, and he has the griffin wings. So he already connects to some attributes of the beast in Revelation. And I believe it was the body of the leopard that this particular beast had. So the whole beast nature is very wrapped up in love, which is to say is very wrapped up in desire. So the aiming and manipulation of desire, if not handled responsibly and you want to take shortcuts, you end up walking right into the realm of Thagarian all over, and you start falling through all the spheres of the clip-off at light speed. I mean, crashing. Because love is not for sale. And should you try to backdoor your way into love, you have a real hefty fine to pay from the Most High. And his punishment is going to be disguised as these demons that you place your trust in, because ultimately they're going to backstab you for being a backstabber. Ultimately, they're going to play traitor against you for being a traitor. Ultimately, they're going to set you up for being a person who set up others. Ultimately, they're going to leave you out there to dry for leaving somebody else out there to dry. So if you backdoor love, Citri is going to put you in a situation where you're going to be set up. And this Faustian bargain, the way it works again, is you get whatever you want. And then after 20 years or so, this demon, whoever presents the Faustian bargain to you, can claim anything they want. They can have anything they want, possibly up to 3 things. And you know these devils was just messing humans up if this is indeed factual. They say in the historical records, they were saying, you know what, in exchange for everything and winning this war and this conquest, let me get your soul for all eternity, your children. And, you know, they would always put 3 things on the table that you couldn't bear to live without, no matter what your status was. That was part of the package. And that is part of the lesson of what you need to consider before deciding to say you're going to backdoor your way into love and backdoor your way into some grand opportunity or some grand level of stature. No, look at what you can stand to lose. Look at what you're automatically forfeiting just by taking the easy way. This is how this information is presented. So the lesson in it is You don't want to sell anybody that you love, anybody that you can't live without. You don't want to sell anybody anyway on any level for anything. That's really the big lesson. And so all of these little elements like family and lovers and friends and status and money, these are just terms that create a little bit more ambiguity and create more murk. But to the very discerning, it adds a wider variety of context so that you just don't get blindsided no matter what the situation is. It may not be dealing with love. And I'm saying this for the incels because we can't put it past you that you would contact a demon like Citri for the sake of trying to acquire someone's love. Because if it's said amongst the incel groups that a man can take a rifle and do open gunfire, then likewise, and of a lesser degree physically, someone can conjure up something to try to get love artificially, I'm sure. Can't put it past desire, and you definitely can't put it past desperation. A person can be desperate enough to do that. We don't know what happened to people's dating lives during the pandemic or during the quarantine. You know what I mean? We don't know what's going on with them, and we don't know what people are willing to try. So just in case someone is willing to try it, let me give you a more respectable shortcut toward love. And it's going to sound very cliche, but you have to love yourself almost to the point of falling in love with yourself. We're not touching on vanity or conceit in the least, but just try to imagine yourself as this main character in the movie of your life who's essentially happy. You know, one of those characters like whatever your superhero would be. You know, go ahead and be that and be in your own cheering section. This is going to be contagious to other people around you. And this is going to make you more attractive toward any kind of love interest, because what this is doing is this is you participating in the art of becoming lovely. Love attracts love. Like attracts like. So if you want to attract love, you have to become love. The way you, upkeep whatever your goals are, however you express yourself, your desire to learn communication, your desire to push past any social anxieties and really work on yourself and really do the heavy lifting and really take on the challenge, which has a grand opportunity on the other side of it. But to really take on the challenge, to really slay that dragon, whatever it is, and you pushing through to the other side, knowing that the greater the battle, the greater the victory is at the end, the bigger the celebration. But if you try to backdoor it, that's when things get tricky. And usually in backdoor agreements, it's usually going to be more than you bargained for if you don't do it the straight up way. If you try to be sneaky about it and dark and devious and Machiavellian about it and mercurial about it, you're going to end up attracting those same trap doors and booby traps, and all of a sudden is not what you signed up for. This person that you end up forcing to fall in love with you through diabolical means, demonic means. What if this person turns out to be someone who causes you nothing but misery, brings you nothing but grief, and you end up wishing that you could undo and erase this partner that you done did a love spell on to attract in your life? And now that you finally get to know the person, you see why it was never really meant for y'all to be together. But because you decided that you wanted something so badly, someone so badly, that you would infringe on their free will and use dark powers to attract them. Ultimately, this is dangerous to do, but on very light levels in terms of making yourself lovelier and more attractive in general, I should say, in general, yes, and genuine, but in general, to make yourself lovelier and more attractive. This is ultimately good. And now you're transmuting the power of Citri, Prince Citri, who is over that energy that attracts a man to a female, even to the point of them desiring to hook up. According to the Ars Goretia and Solomon's Lesser Keys, the Most High gave this particular demon jurisdiction over that, but more so as a custodian, probably over those who seek to pursue love in a violating, disrespectful way, illegitimate way. So they're there like as God's belt to do the whipping. So for the sake of love spell and for those who really desire to have someone in their life and they feel like it's not working and they can't get it, first thing you want to do is not to compare yourself to anyone else. Begin to imagine yourself differently. Over and over and over. Imagine yourself lovely. You're going to have to do some make-believe. You're going to have to do some role-playing. You're going to have to do some looking in the mirror. And you keep working on it because now you're walking in faith, believe it or not, by just doing this. And you're going to be rewarded for it. There's never a giving without a receiving. You're not going to reap. You're not going to sow and not reap. So as you practice becoming more lovely, becoming more attractive, deciding to take the long way around, the legitimate way around, you'll end up attracting more than you expected. And you'll end up again in a situation with more than you bargained for, but this time happier than you thought you ever could be. So again, in Super T Sigma of Sigma programming, be careful with your heart. Be careful with your mind. What's the excuse for existence? Time.